Osiyo, everyone. Welcome. We are here today with me, your host, Dani, and my beautiful guest, Marissa Price and Dr. Kimani. Yay! We are here this morning for an interview. This is the first interview here on this channel. If you're familiar with the channels of these ladies, this is not their first interview. This is one of many beautiful interviews this month, and I'm honored to be a part of the community who is able to share with you about a beautiful event going on this weekend. So I want to hold space for Marissa Price and Dr. Kimani to share a bit about themselves. First, I will share with you a bit of their bios that you can find on their website, Job Liberation. The link is in the description. And if you follow their channels, they will also be on there. Also on my or my community section, I have links to their channels and the website for Job Liberation Summit. But first, before we talk about their event, let's share a little bit about them. So Marissa Price is a healer, educator, and business strategist, helping Black women build and grow digital businesses to get free of toxic work environments. She is the founder of Free Black Women Virtual Solutions. Yes. So Marissa Price. Next, we have Dr. Kimani, a Black woman licensed clinical psychologist, toxic job survivor, Hello 7 coach, and toxic job liberator for Black women. Welcome, Dr. Kimani.
Thank you, Dani.
And I would like to hold space for both of you to share more about yourselves. Oh, and excuse me, Dr. Kimani is the founder of Lifting as We Climb Consulting. I would like to hold space for both of you to share a bit more about yourselves.
You want to start, Melissa?
I'm Marissa Price. As Dani said, I'm a healer, educator, toxic job survivor. I exited a toxic job, over a year ago, a little over a year ago at this point, in the economic development field. Yeah, that was draining the life out of me in every way imaginable. And it was just from coming across Dr. Kimani's channel, joining like these wonderful communities of Black women. Dani, I met you in Alicia Bernice's community, The Garden, and just like all of these like wonderful Black women YouTubers that I've been able to follow, learn from, made me realize that it wasn't me, right? And that has begun like my process of healing. And now I'm at a point to be able to share knowledge, what I've learned, and hopefully help other Black women get out of toxic jobs and heal from the aftermath, because we know the aftermath lasts long after you leave the physical environment. So yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yes. And I'm Dr. Kimani. So I'm originally from Chicago. I live in Los Angeles now. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, proud alum of Spelman College. And I just want to echo what Marissa said on so many different levels. One is I'm so full of gratitude that I found a space, a community of Black women who are so supportive, and a space where we are able to openly talk about the harm of being in a toxic job and to talk about the healing and how to get out, right? That's so important. And the healing really starts once you leave. I'm on a healing journey. Marissa's on a healing journey. The healing is ongoing, but it's important to be able to relieve yourself or identify what is the source of the stress so that you can get that out of your life and then move on to start being in an environment where you can start healing is so important. I'm just so happy to be a part of a Black sisterhood of Black women who are uplifting one another.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom in advance. I know these questions, I just really resonated with these. And when I journaled with myself, I just can only imagine the greatness that you all have to share with us today. So we can get right into it. What is your vision of liberation? And I'll let either one of you go first, and then we'll kind of just go with the flow from there.
Sounds good.
Marissa?
Kimani, you want to? Yeah, I can go first. So for me, liberation is being free to be yourself 100%. So fully, completely not having to compromise your values and beliefs for a paycheck, which a lot of us feel like we have to do. We have to stay in environments that are not aligned with us because of this very real fear, right? Living in a capitalist system, the fear of not having enough keeps us in these environments that are draining the life from us, literally shortening our lives. We've seen this happen. So it's being able to exercise your options, know your options, exercise them towards freedom, right? That is the goal of liberation, in my view. Being able to choose for yourself what direction you go in, knowing that you're not like confined any one place, that you have the ability to move if an environment is toxic, being able to express yourself and your thoughts freely, being able to exercise self-sovereignty. So complete ownership, autonomy of your body, of yourself, of your thoughts, again, of the direction that you go, and also not looking to any one person for approval or validation, and knowing that that comes from within, right? So not placing someone above you, realizing that you are on an equal playing field of everyone else, and you have the ability to decide.
That was beautifully stated. I want to say, yeah, me too. What you said. I just want to also add, liberation to me also entails knowing my options. So knowing that when I'm in a situation that I'm not stuck there, that I have options and I have the agency to move forward with those options. So liberation is knowing that I'm not stuck in any situation, that I have choice in terms of what I want to do, what I decide to do, and I am liberated to do those things that are healthy for me and my family, not just to do things out of necessity or fear or anything like that. What is best for me and my family and our health and our well-being? The other thing is being aware of what are the things that mentally enslave me. So those things that mentally enslave me are fears. So thinking about when I was at a toxic job, the fears of leaving the job, that was enslaving me to the job. So I became like this extension of the job. Like the job was defining my whole life. And so just breaking that cord and saying, no, I want freedom from this. I don't want to be tied to or enslaved to anything that is harming me. So that's just generally what that means to me. Just really addressing that mental enslavement. I think a lot of us experience, but we try to justify it or we try to, make it seem like it's not that bad, but it really is that bad.
It really is that bad. I just wanted to echo that because I really do resonate with that. I have choice. I have choice. And I can have choice and not recognize the opportunities of choice when they present themselves. Why? Mental enslavement and naming it for what it is. Yes.
Yeah. And can I say something else? Like, providing, like what you said resonated with me, like being an extension of the job, because that's how I felt too, right? That I was just like, now I was ingrained in like a part of this organization, and I had to like, the process of healing is like detaching yourself and reclaiming your identity, and realizing that no place has ownership over you, right? Your skills, your abilities, your talents are yours, detached from any organization or title that you hold. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, when you said that, it made me think about like leeches. Like how leeches get into your skin and they suck all the blood out of you. And it's painful to take the leeches off. But you recognize that there's some leeches on you and you got to get the leeches off for you to survive.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought about that as you said. I was like, oh, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. Something I'm also thinking about is when you said, do things that are best for me and my family. You said me and my family. So even some of us who might have grown up in some enmeshment, and that's what we're familiar with. So we go into the workplace and they're like, we treat each other like family. And you're like, well, I, oh, right. So even
Big red
saying that
flag.
phrase.
Big
Hmm.
red flag.
Hmm. Yes.
And Dani, can I say,
Yeah.
like, especially in social work, right? They have us in a lot of these jobs where they will play on that, our ability to
Mm-hmm.
empathize with other people, to feel
Mm-hmm.
other people's pain. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in this toxic environment where they're extracting from us, right?
Yeah.
Emotional labor, because they prey on that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's very real. That's very
And
real.
they also prey on that sense of commitment
Yeah.
to help other people. And, we're all in this, and think of the bigger picture, think of other people over
Mhm.
yourself. No, I have to think of
Yeah.
myself first so that I can support other people. And you're saying to me, I should just stay in this environment where you're harming me and just ignore that. But then you want
Right.
me to help other people.
No.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So, and this is why I feel so empowered to know that this is something that's an option. It gives me courage when I see the bravery and through other people's actions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
speaking up is a power in and of itself. Acknowledging what's happening to self is empowering in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to say something too, Dani. I think it's important not only to see what other people are doing, particularly other Black women, but to remind ourselves of ways that we have persevered and worked through challenging situations. You said you left a toxic job. That was not easy. So we have to remind ourselves of all the things that we've done. And we might be like, oh, yeah, that wasn't a big deal. No, that was a huge deal. That was a huge deal. So as Black women, we have to take moments for ourselves, because not every time, people not
Mm.
always going to be feeding into us. So we have to acknowledge for ourselves, wow, what are some examples of some challenging things that I've gone through or that I'm still working through, and I'm doing it, because that encourages you to keep doing things that may be challenging.
Thank you so much. I felt that one. Thank you. Yay. And we've got a guest.
Hey.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you for joining. Okay, so our next question, and thank you for those beautiful answers. What is a toxic job and what are some of the signs? I know we talked about red flags a bit before, so this is perfect. But yes.
You want to take that one
Sure.
first?
Okay. I actually am motivated to do a video about this because
Mm,
this question comes up a lot. And I think that people are so used to bad work environments that they're like, oh, I thought all jobs are supposed to be like this. Like, is it toxic? I don't get it. But it is toxic in the sense that it's harming you. So it's harming you physically, psychologically, and or spiritually. And the signs are different for all of us because we all have different, symptoms or whatever. But the thing is this, you can't ignore the signs. So when you start recognizing, wow, like, why is my blood pressure going up? Why is my hair falling out? Why am I having difficulty
mm,
sleeping? Why am I stressed out all the time? Why am I worried? Why do I wake up with a
mm,
sense of dread? Why am I crying? Like, what's going on?
mhm,
Those are the signs that the toxicity from that environment are spilling over to you. So, again, the
mm,
signs might be different for different people, but the main thing is that you have to recognize ways that you are experiencing things physically, psychologically, and I would say spiritually too, because there might be times where you say, just like I did, God, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I'm a good employee. Like, why is this happening, God?
mm,
So that might
mm,
happen too. So being aware of anything where is a change in your baseline functioning.
mm, mm,
I'll say for me, like, being gaslighted. Being gaslighted is a huge
mm,
thing in toxic work environments.
Yeah.
Like, you'll realize something is wrong, and then you may bring up a concern, and then people will be like, make you feel like you're losing your mind for bringing it up, just because they're not ready to acknowledge the toxicity that is generated
Mm-hmm.
in that environment. Also, like, talking behind people's backs, if you notice that, like,
mm,
Kimani did a video on that, like, gossiping. right? If you
Mm-hmm.
notice, there's a culture of pitting people against each other, right? Triangulation, where someone like takes a power position and then tries to play two people against each other, which happened for me. That is a toxic work environment, right? And you deserve so much better than that. But yeah, any place where you're feeling like the negative physical effects, emotional effects, spiritual effects, you shouldn't be experiencing those for a paycheck, right? It shouldn't be breaking you down physically, emotionally. Like, no, absolutely not. That's a toxic work environment.
Mhm. And this is a bit of a follow-up. So would you have any advice for someone who if someone's in this position and their inner circle of people they're confiding in are encouraging them to stay and not listening to the need that's being conveyed by them sharing their testimony?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to bring
Okay.
it up too, but I'm glad you brought it up. We're aligned right now, right? So being
Mhm.
aware that self-preservation comes first. So you know how you're
Mhm.
feeling. No one else has to live your life. So if you are experiencing these symptoms and you're telling people about how you're feeling and they're telling you to withstand abuse and trauma, then that's telling you right there that the boundary you need to put a boundary with what information you share with them. So if they're saying, girl, don't leave that job. That's a great job. It's got great benefits. You won't be able to get another job. Like, so they're projecting all their fears onto you. If you
Mhm.
see that, if you recognize that boundary, right? So if they say, girl, how's the job? Girl, I'm working it out. I'm dealing, very brief, right? Go to people that can encourage you and support you and pour information into you and share about different job openings. You talk to those people or you find community with those people. So I quote Glamazini all the time that, check the tree before you pick the fruit. So if you're talking to people who are miserable in their jobs, they're miserable in their own life, and they're telling you to stay any place where you're being abused and traumatized, don't pick that fruit. Don't pick it. Okay. Find again. It might even be you need to find community. You need to make community. So it might be maybe searching like what are the groups that you're interested in, form community with them. If there's professional organizations that you want to be a part of, maybe form community within those professional organizations. But you have to be very mindful of that because those people around you can keep you staying somewhere longer because you're already dealing with your own fears about leaving a job. But then you got the fears of other people. That's too much. That's too much. And it's a distraction. So you have to focus on the boundary and finding your own community and therapy. Okay. Because therapy, right? Therapy can help you because now you're talking to an objective person who doesn't have any ties or whatever. They're an objective person. They can hear what you're saying. They can help you with that gaslighting because a job is gaslighting you. But then you might start self gaslighting yourself like, is it me? Did I do that? What's wrong with me? So that therapist can help you reality test. You need that because as you're going through and navigating the situation, you're dealing with so many different emotions and all these different things. You need to have your mind right. You need to have the clarity. So you need to be able to talk to someone who you know will keep this information confidential. Because what happens a lot of times that might start talking to our coworkers, right? Bad idea. Do not do that. Please don't do that. I've learned from that. Do not do that. Don't share what you are really thinking about the job and what your plans are, because it can go really bad. People talking about you behind your back and plotting against you. Please don't do that. So just be mindful of what are the other avenues. Again, boundaries, your own community, therapy.
Yes, yes. I did have a therapist the whole year. So on top of having Alicia and Nisa's community, the garden, and then your YouTube channels, I did have that therapist and that
Good.
whole time. So
Yes.
yes, thank you for mentioning that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, okay, yeah, that answered that question. Okay, so next one. Could you please provide context or details on some of the health impacts of a toxic job? So I know we mentioned there are long-term impacts even after you leave. And I feel I'm in that grieving point too. And it can look lots of different ways, even as life is still going on. So yes, either of you would like to share or both.
Yeah,
Take
I
that.
can start. Yeah, so the first one, that's a huge one, is insomnia that I experienced, right? Not being able to sleep through the night, fall asleep at all, waking up. If you're ruminating about what someone said to you, what happened during the day, that can wake you up out of a sleep and all of a sudden you can't fall back asleep, right? So insomnia is a huge issue. We're actually going to have a session about that at the summit. Dr. Robin is going to be leading that, healing from insomnia and reclaiming your sleep from a toxic job, because that is so real and so many of us experience that. Also, a lack of appetite was one that I experienced. You can also experience like an increased appetite depending on how your symptoms show up. Depression, anxiety, irritability is a huge one. This is like a symptom of depression, specifically in Black women, that's often overlooked, right? Irritability is very real. If you are very short with the people around you, you know that toxic jobs affect your familial relationships, your friendships, right? The impact is just wide reaching in these jobs. Experiencing hopelessness. If you have like random pains in your body, our bodies know when we're being harmed, sometimes before our minds do, right? So it may show up in physical symptoms and also digestive issues. If you're experiencing like GI issues or stuff like that, that might be a symptom of toxic jobs.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the challenging part for us with the irritability is that we are so mindful of not falling into the stereotype of the angry Black woman. So there might be things that happen, and what we may do is kind of swallow the irritation, right? So the stuff is happening at the job, and we're job masking, we're swallowing so much irritation. The challenge with that is that if we don't acknowledge that, and we don't process that irritability and what the source of it is, it can turn inward and start becoming depression. So the depression part we need to get a handle on that, because the helplessness and hopelessness can be like a spiral. And then you get caught in a spiral and it may feel like you can't get out. And we've seen the worst case scenarios of what could happen is having those thoughts of self-harm. And we saw what happened with Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey. I think a lot of us, it put a lot of us, on alert, like, oh my God, it can go that far. Yes, it can go that far. So that's why it's so important to be aware of the signs and take immediate action if we're starting to have any of these thoughts of harming ourselves, because it really can get that serious.
Yes. Being aware of the energy we're around, it
Yeah,
matters.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm. Whew. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, our body knows what's going on. So even after we're away from that physical environment, there's still some releasing and processing and acknowledging and a whole lot of resting.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And you know what? You all talked about this. The grief is ongoing, right? So I resigned about 2 years ago, and the grief is still there. So I'm better. I'm doing better every day. But I still have moments where I have memories about the old job. I have, especially working on the virtual summit, I've had so many memories come up. So that's why I've been doing so many videos on my YouTube channel, because all these memories are coming up. And for me, I like to release the toxicity. I'm like, toxicity, I don't want you in my body. I'm gonna release these memories. And the hope is that as I'm talking about these memories, that I'm helping more Black women in the process. But the grief part, and then the other part that I'm still grappling with is the self-forgiveness. So giving myself grace that I made decisions, I didn't leave sooner, all those other kind of things, saying, you know what, you made the best decision at that time based upon what you were going through. So give yourself grace. But I have to do that because sometimes it can be infuriating. Like, what? Like these people, what? Like you took that from what? Like I have to release that. I'm in a much better place now, but I didn't have the confidence that I could leave and do well, because I was so stuck by fear. And I don't want Black women to be stuck by fear. I want us to know the fear is real and it's normal. So don't feel like, oh my God, I feel the fear, I can't go. No, the fear is normal. But what can you do to walk through the fear? So the summit is a way for us to help support Black women walking through the fear, because a lot of times the fear is the unknown. I don't know. I'm not prepared. But the summit provides an opportunity for women to get prepared, to get the resources, to know what to do. So you're able to walk through the fear and don't feel like you're just stuck by the fear.
Yeah, it makes me think of that saying, in order to heal, I need to feel it. In order to heal it, I need to feel it.
Hmm.
And it sounds like the job liberation is providing community. So you're not doing that alone, because no one heals in isolation.
So true. So true, right? Healing is a community, right? And recognizing that being in community with other people, that helps to mitigate a lot of the trauma that we've experienced. So it's healing. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Marissa, did you have anything you wanted to share before our next question?
I was just going to add like the confidence piece that Kimani mentioned, right? Like reclaiming your self confidence after going through these things, it can really do a number on how you view yourself, right? Which also keeps a lot of us stuck because we forget that we have all this education, all these skills. Like I forgot all about everything that I did because I was so traumatized, right? So it takes a second to kind of get back who you are, remember who you are, remember the skills you have. And that's another session we're going to have, how to use your skill set to start your own business, because a lot of us have forgotten the skills that we have. So it's reminding yourself constantly of your track record and who you are.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for these super creative and very relevant sessions that we're going to all get to experience. Get your tickets, everyone. I'm going to be putting my phone on a charger, but I'm going to mute myself after I ask this next question. So please feel free. So the next question is, please explain the importance of identifying toxic work environments and how recognizing them can assist someone on their path to healing.
Yeah.
Well, oh, you want to start?
I was just gonna say, for me, like being in, like watching your channel, right? Coming across your channel, being in the chat, having other Black women reflect back to me, like what their experiences were, what mine were, so that I could realize I wasn't alone. That was pivotal in healing, because a lot of us will internalize what we're experiencing in these environments as something is wrong with us, when really it's the oppressors, right? It's the oppressors trying to dim our light because it shines so brightly. So that's very real. Being able to recognize that it is the environment and it's not you. That can be like a pivotal first step to healing, and can help with like self gaslighting, right? Reminding yourself that what you're experiencing is real. You're not making it up. You're in a toxic environment. Having other people reflect that back to you, who have gone through similar experiences and made it to the other side, is so powerful.
I completely agree. And the validation is important, and also the refusal to be silent, because that's another added layer to the oppression, is that they try to humiliate you and to silence you. And so when you see what's happening, do what you need to do to let your story out. So it's healing not only to share with other people, but you need to be able to share your story for yourself about what happened to you. So again, you have somebody reality testing with you, so you're not self-gaslighting. But the silencing and the humiliation, I want to speak a little bit about that, because when I was at the toxic job, I knew they did so much shady stuff. I'm not going to go into it right now, but they did so much shady stuff to really humiliate me and to silence me. I've always been a fighter, right? And that's part of the problem, because I kept saying I was going to fight these people and I wasn't going to leave. And that was the problem, okay? But I was able to tap into that spirit part of me, that I'm a fighter, that when they tried to humiliate me and silence me, I was in Stephanie Perry's YouTube challenge. And when she said, "What are you guys going to talk about? What do you want to talk about?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe Black women toxic jobs." She's like, "Girl, do that. we need to hear that." And so when I started talking about it, that was initially my way of starting to get this toxicity out of my system, because I was still at the job. I was on a leave of absence. I started talking about it. But the more I talked about it, the better I felt. Like I was getting it out of my system. And I started interviewing other Black women, and to hear their stories were similar to my story, no matter what profession they were in. And then when Black women started reaching out to me from around the world, I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. I'm thinking I'm the only one. I'm thinking I'm just humiliated, embarrassed about what happened to me. But when I use my voice to share my story, to give my testimony, as Glenn Mazzini said, I'm now healing out loud. I'm on YouTube all the time talking about my journey. And I'm a private person, right? Before all this happened, I never had social media. I mean, literally, I was like, I don't know, what is that? Like, I didn't have any social media. Now I'm out here and I'm so open because I know that getting this out of my system heals me, starts to help, it helps to heal me, but it also helps to heal other Black women. The other thing is being able to give a name to what I've experienced. So not only getting the validation, refusing to be silenced or humiliated because I did nothing wrong. These people did something wrong, and I'm gonna put them on blast, right? People ask me, does your old employer know? Yeah, they know because they're watching. I know they're watching because I can see on LinkedIn who's been watching me, right? I can see that the old job is so constant. So I know that they're watching, but I'm gonna put you on blast about what you did, right? The other thing, like I said, being able to give name to what we've experienced. So I've talked about this a number of times. I've had 2 of the Pet to Threat researchers on my channel several times. But Pet to Threat, that's something that so many of us have experienced. I experienced it. I had no idea what was happening to me. Now, I knew that the people I was dealing with were deeply insecure. I knew that, right?
Right.
But I didn't have a name for the dynamic of what I was experiencing. If anyone's not familiar with Pet to Threat, I'll just briefly tell you what it is. So Pet to Threat was created by 3 Black women researchers, Dr. Juanita Johnson-Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps. I always say their names when I talk about Pet to Threat, because guess what? People try to steal their work, right? So I'm like, these are the Black women who came up with it, okay? So Pet to Threat deals with when a Black woman comes into the workplace, or she's already in the workplace, and she's sought out because of her outstanding work abilities. Oh, Dani, she's so smart. Dani is so creative. We love what Dani brings to the table. Oh my God, we can't live without Dani. So you're the pet, right? Then Dani starts outshining other people. Then there's a shift in terms of how you're seen and treated as a threat. That is what happened to me. So many things happened as a result of me setting boundaries about some shady stuff that they were doing. And once that happened, it was this attempt to discredit, demean, humiliate. It's just so many different things, right? So being able to give a name to it, that is empowering. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what I experienced. So being able to share our stories and having platforms for us to be able to share our story. And I love how Alicia openly talks. And I was watching Alicia, right? When I was just being able to openly share our experiences, that is liberating. That is liberating.
Yes, it is. Like, look at all of the different ways that we can heal, we can express, we can create, we all our experiences are not a monolith, and to experience something in such isolation, to know like, oh, that's every interview from both of your channels. It's just like, oh, that happened to me too. And then we're just bouncing off of each other. And it's like we could have went through it in the same room. However, that wouldn't have been the same experience, and then we both would have been together, and they really would have had a problem. So
It's true. It's true, because there's a pattern. There's a pattern of abuse that Black women are subjected to in these environments. And so when we come together to share our stories, it's like we recognize the pattern. It's like, oh, we can externalize the shame that we had internalized before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my hope is at some point that these employers are put on notice. Like, you cannot keep
Yeah.
treating people like this. You cannot keep treating Black women like this. You will not
Right.
have anyone to work for you. And if you are an owner of a business and you know that you have workplace bullies and you're not checking them, they are gutting your organization. So do something about it, because when you don't do something about it, then you're complicit in the oppression as well. And I think so many people within these toxic workplaces are complicit to what they're seeing, and they're not doing anything about it. But it undermines, it sucks anything out of the organization. So if you're trying to make money, you're not going to make, because you're going to lose employees. So now that's a whole bunch of money, because money you put in training and hiring, you're going to end up losing. Your organization is going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, you can say it just like that. That was all true. My visceral reaction just now was, oh, that's all true, and yet like the fear, right? But and also it's like that was taught. That was taught. That
Mm-hmm.
that sense of like, ooh, shh, keep it a secret. Like, no, that was taught. I can find the root to that one.
Mm-hmm.
We don't air our
Mm-hmm.
dirty laundry. Like, that's misplaced, because
Mm-hmm.
that does need to be aired out, and that does need to be said with just as much confidence, because it's all true.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And who benefits from our silence?
That
Mm-mm.
part.
Nobody.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
hmm I wanted to read what Alicia said. Thank you all for being so open. You all are helping us heal. Yes, I agree. Exactly. Metabolic Maven, hello. I'm so glad I left a toxic work environment 2 years ago. Whew, a lot of us, it seems like there's this recent shift that we've been collectively willing to be a part of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we can support each other. So everyone, get your tickets. May 18th, May 19th. Okay, let's see. Ooh,
And
so fun.
can I share something really quick? Okay. So we're excited too, not only about the virtual summit, but we're excited because we now have slots available for Black women who maybe can't afford it. So we've had people who have donated money to sponsor Black women to come to the summit. So we have a number of tickets available. So if Black women are watching this right now and they want to come to the summit, but they can't afford it, they can email me, Dr. Kimani at liftinguswithtimeconsulting.com. Email me. And again, as soon as you get this information, email me, because we're going by who contacts me first. So once those tickets are gone, then they're gone. But email me as soon as possible so that you can get a free ticket from one of the people who have generously donated for you to come. So they're giving you the gift of freedom. All you got to do is email me.
That is so beautiful. Someone out there wants you to find community. Like, that is so deep. They don't even need to know you. They just want you to be well.
Yes.
hmm And something I've been learning about more is just this loneliness epidemic. Find somebody, find your tribe. Your community is out there. Your people are looking for you, just like you're looking for them. So keep putting yourself out there. We're here to support you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Kamani. Thank you so much to everyone who supported and sponsored. That is so beautiful. I've had a lot of people sponsor me in my life, so I definitely understand that. Pay it forward. It matters. Yes. Okay. So, our next question: how have you chosen to embark on your self discovery journey before, during, and/or after work hours? So, this really goes into identity. I've been understanding that I have a lot of identities I have not fully explored, nor have most of my identities had safe spaces for me to explore them myself. So I'm recognizing now I'm holding space for myself in ways historically I haven't. Even as a child, I'm recognizing there's things that I want to explore now. Like yesterday morning, I went to the park and just flung on the park and was like singing like my favorite childhood theme songs. And it
Oh,
was
I
so
love that.
great. It was so great. So yes, what are some like self-discovery journey after hours, before, during? Because I know sometimes work becomes, like we said in the beginning, we come in enmeshed with that environment. So yes.
Yeah, I'll say for me, writing. So getting back to writing, which I had put down for a long time, trying to be like a robot, basically, in these environments that require us to be like so strict and like focused. And especially, I was a financial analyst for a large part of my career, so that didn't leave any room for creativity, right? So kind of tapping back into my creativity through the garden, Alicia Renice's community. Yeah, writing a book, Cocoon, Affirmations for Transformation, which is my book that I wrote. So tapping back into like my gift, my love of writing has been really pivotal for me. Even like journaling outside of that, music, travel. So solo travel, going to different places that I've wanted to visit, has been really inspiring to me. Working with clients who are absolutely amazing now, like Dr. Kimani, other Black women that I'm helping like build their businesses, constantly inspires me. Reading, going back and reading things that I put down throughout college, picking those texts back up and really like re-examining them now that I'm at this phase of my life, so I can read them differently and learn different like lessons from them. Has been good. What else? Watching YouTube has been huge. Just like Black women YouTubers for the win every single time has been pivotal in my healing journey.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I love your life.
But that's a
Beautiful
part of
life.
liberation. That's part of the liberation, is being able to create the life that you want for yourself.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
that's that's
it's true.
liberating.
Mhm.
And for me, every day I wake up and I stretch and I just give honor to God for the day, and I ask God to direct me in the direction that God wants me to go for that day. And this is such a contrast to when I was at the toxic job, because every day I used to wake up in dread. That's not my reality right now. And I also have been very intentional. So during the 2020, all that kind of stuff, we got a dog, right? And so, we love our dog. He's so mellow. But then we got another dog. We got his sister, and we named her Joy. And I wanted to name her Joy because I wanted to wake up to joy every day, literally. And I wake up to
Oh,
joy every day, and she is on fire. I mean, when you she is just full of life. So I have reminders of joy every day throughout the day. And being able to say, I'm tired, being able to take naps.
mm,
Also during the 2020 time, when I was on the leave and all other kind of stuff, my husband and I created a garden. So we cleared out all the weeds. There was a whole bunch of weeds on the side of our house. We cleared out all the weeds, which for me was symbolic of clearing out the weeds of that job, created a garden. So now we grow things. We have collards and kale, peach tree, lemon tree, lettuce. We have so many different things that we're growing. Blueberries, this mint, a whole bunch of stuff. But that is symbolic to me, that once those weeds were cleared out, growth can happen,
Mm.
beauty happens, nourishment happens. And so I go out to my garden. That is so healing for me to go out to my garden, especially like to be able to go out and pick things to eat. And right. So it's just a reminder. And it's another reminder to me also, not only of clearing the weeds and not only about job stuff, but just people who are maybe suck the life out of you, whatever, like clearing that out and removing that. But it's also symbolic for me of the connection with the ancestors. The fact that
mhm.
I'm able to own land and eat off the land and not have somebody tell me what to do, that is symbolic and very healing for me. That's an example of like ancestral healing. So I frequently go out to my garden. I'm also talking a lot to my family and my friends. I have a community of people around me, but the community of people around me that I have now I'm very intentional about who I have in my space. I've built a community through YouTube, but I'm also intentional in my personal space. Those people who have harmed me or done anything like that, I have literally purged them out of my phone. So I've gone through my phone and those numbers are now removed because every time I would see those names, it was a reminder of how they harmed me or how they were not there to support me. I wish them well, right? But you can't be in my circle and I don't want to see reminders of you. And then I also do like whatever brings me joy. So take Pilates, do yoga, like I said, naps. But whatever I want to do, I now have the freedom to do whatever I want to do. And that can bring me joy. I'm in the Afroflow Yoga Teacher Certification Program, right? So all these different things that I never really envisioned me doing, I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I think I want to do that. And I do it. I do it.
Yes.
That
That's
is so
freedom.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yay. That is freedom. That's liberation.
Yes.
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 Yeah, I just watched your YouTube short where you where I love that you go on walks and then you stop and you have your videos. You're like, something just came up, and even though I'm in this environment and I'm okay right now, this came up and I'm gonna talk about it. Like that is just a constant reinforcer of something happened to me in the past, and I will show up for myself each and every time to handle whatever has come up in this moment. I'll do it right now because that's my choice to take care of myself right now at every moment.
Exactly. That's centering myself. And I was talking to somebody about, I think it was yesterday when I did the live, that sometimes as Black women that we've been fed the lie that if we focus on ourselves, that we're selfish. And I'm like, no, that's not selfish. It's nothing selfish about centering ourselves. We cannot be anything to anybody else if we don't center ourselves. And that's a lie. That's a lie of the oppressor. I'm using Marissa's term. That's a lie of the oppressor to get us to keep being the workhorse, right? We have to say, no, I'm not selfish. I'm centering myself. I'm doing what I need for myself. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because I'm aligned to spirit, right?
Yes.
Yes, and there's abundance at our fingertips within us. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, okay, so our next question, how have you used travel as an act of liberation? I know you both have mentioned travel, but yes, how have you used travel as an act of liberation? I wanted to also share this is coming from a place of when I travel, in the past, it was running away. Like I went to five different elementary schools, two different middle schools, one high school, but I moved three different times in those 4 years. So being in going to one college and then living where I live now is the most I've lived in one place. So it's really my adult life. I've chosen how can I stick around long enough. And yeah, so when you travel and when you speak about liberation, I see freedom in how you travel. I'm sure it's been a journey, but when it's beautiful to see you travel because there's lots of fear in my own family about travel. I'm the first one to actually travel solo and trust and have faith that there is safety wherever I go, and there will be people looking out for me wherever I go. And so, yes, I'll ask the question again. How have you used travel as an act of liberation?
Yeah, I think for me, travel reminds me that I'm free, right? I'm free to move. It also goes into like ancestral healing, right? Being the descendant of people who were enslaved, who had their freedom of movement restricted from them, like deliberately for centuries. It's like telling myself, no, I can move wherever I please, right? Those chains are no longer on me. And it's undoing the mental chains, right? For a lot of us to be able to remind ourselves that we can travel, we can move. And like you said, it brings up so many like new things, new opportunities. You can meet new people, right, when you travel. So there's just so much abundance in that. It's reclaiming like my human right to move freely about the earth, reminding myself that I am a citizen of the globe, not just the US. Again, as the descendant of people who were enslaved, that's huge. right? That's revolutionary to take that power back into your own hands. Just reminding yourself that you can travel. You have the ability to, right? And the privilege that a US passport holds is very real, and utilize it to the fullest potential. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes. So I do a lot of travel with the work that I do. I do a lot of trainings on trauma. And, an organization pays for me to go out and do trainings, whatever. But when I do that, I take some of the time that they're paying for me to go, right? And I do some of the time for myself. So I have like a
Mm-hmm.
little mini vacation. They're paying me. I'm like, okay, let me take a mini vacation wherever I'm going to do some stuff for me. That's one thing. The other thing is I have been able to travel this past year to places I've wanted to go, never been before. But my dream was to go to Turks and Caicos, like for years, 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 years. And we finally was able to go this January. And so being able to go there was like, oh my God, like picture myself like, are we really here? Are we really here? And I still look at those pictures and those videos to remind myself of this is what's possible. And this is what we
Mm-hmm.
want to incorporate more into my life. But again, the beauty of life, just being there and seeing the ocean, just how beautiful it is. And the people, so beautiful. And just being around all these Black people, it was just beautiful. So I love to travel as well. And I hope to do more recreational travel, not as much travel related to work stuff, but still being able to carve in that time for myself has been very powerful and liberating.
Yes. That makes me think of home is wherever I am.
Yes,
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm.
yes.
We love a good saying. I got that from somebody's grandmother. I don't
Can
know.
I ask you, Danny,
Okay.
like being a solo traveler, like how did you develop that trust in safety? Like, did that come over
Hmm.
time of just practicing solo traveling? Like, how did you develop that?
Hmm. It was something that when I went to college, there were people who said your first years are the or is the time to go explore or do whatever you want. And I was coming from a household where I was very sheltered.
Mhm,
And so when I went to college, I was like, I want to do everything. And also, I was really focused on my academics. Um,
mhm,
and so I ended up choosing academics instead of explore.
mhm,
And I chose roommates, and so we could live together in an apartment versus go literally study abroad
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
because studying abroad would have completely been something accessible for me with like financial aid packages and different things versus like now I'm paying everything in a very independent way versus in school it would have been structured, a very structured way to travel. So when I traveled for the first time, it was literally in 2020. I spent New Year's in London and I went by myself. I had a friend
wow.
that I met I had a friend that I met, and I spent 2 summers with her in a summer camp in Fresno. And at that summer camp, there were international people all the time. And so it was just a relationship I built. And so we spent New Year's in London together, and that was before March, and the
Mhm,
lockdown and everything. So I literally see that as I got to have an opportunity where I believed in myself, had an opportunity, and then that literally wouldn't have been possible, like in that way after that point.
true.
So I would say it's like I knew that an opportunity was presented in the past and I said no and said
Mhm,
yes to something else. And so this
mhm,
was like me offering myself another opportunity. And it's kind of like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. Like there's this desperation, like, no, I'm not going to miss this one. Like, I'm just going to go. Like, I bought my plane ticket 5 months before January.
wow.
Mm. Wow.
And this is when I really was in my internship and in school, and I was president of the Social Work Association for my college, and I was a peer mentor for 10 pre-nursing first-time college students. So I was just doing a lot of giving, and I was like, what am I going to do for myself? Because I'm working hard.
Important.
Yeah.
Important. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Thank you for asking.
it made me think about what you just said. Made me think about Alicia's garden and what I was talking about garden.
Yeah.
We have to water and nurture ourselves, right? That we water and nurture so many other people, but we have to water and nurture ourselves as well.
Me too. Are you gonna say something, Marissa?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Ooh, and this is the legacy I would like to pass on, that I I receive more than I give. I give because I know that I'm receiving in abundance. And if there's a lack in any place, I can always look in another direction or just sit still and breathe with myself, take care of myself, and something good will come to me today.
True.
That's what I've been writing every morning next to on my little like journal next to my bedside. Something good is going to happen to me today. And I just look at the page and breathe and then get out of bed.
Yes. Yes. And something good already happened to you because you woke up that day. I mean, honestly, right? But it's like
Yes.
more goodness is coming to you too. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Woo, I'm so excited. Okay, so these last two questions have me really excited to hear your responses. So, do you have any guidance for young women seeking a career change but are uncertain about how to initiate the transition?
I would say look for mentors and start looking for professional organizations because you can meet a lot of different people in professional organizations. I would also say please really do a lot of research about the field that you want to go into because it can sound beautiful and all that kind of stuff, but you really want to know what is it really like. So start looking on Glassdoor and Indeed for people who work in those professions. What are they saying it really is like? So that you have a real understanding of what that is. But I would just say, again, it goes back to what we talked about before about community and relationships. Start forming those relationships because those individuals can kind of guide you through what the next steps are. They can help you transition. They can really be that sounding board for you. So I would say be open to, exploring different connections that you can make.
And you're worth any price. That's what I'm telling myself too. If there's a coach and they have a price they're charging, hey, you're worth it.
I can co-sign with that. I have coaches, right? And having a coach, particularly Dr. Roche Brown, who's a financial coach, right? Financial psychologist. She helped me get my money together so I could leave. If I did not work with her, I don't know where I would have been because I would have just still been like, oh my God, I can't leave because of the money, right? So having a coach telling you what the steps are, invaluable. Always invest in that. So important.
Thank you for sharing that. And a financial coach, I need that. Finance therapy is something I'm
Yeah.
interested
Yes, so important.
in. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say you have the ability to pivot anytime you want to, right? You are in control and ownership of yourself. So you can move yourself anywhere you want to. You're not beholden to any environment, any title, any person, place, or thing. You are your own. I think that's so important. I wish someone would have told me that right early on, but that's an important lesson to remember. Also, remember your track record, right? How did you get to where you are? You can always go in a different direction using that same skill set, that same determination that you've exhibited time and time again. That didn't go anywhere, right? So you can tap back into that. Reminding yourself how resourceful you are is important. Also connecting with other people who are doing what you're doing, like Kimani said, mentors, other people in professional organizations so that you can learn and study from them. And you don't have to like tackle these things by yourself because it's a lot to do. Also allow yourself to dream. A lot of us are socialized to take life so seriously, right? Be robotic in a lot of these institutions, like educational work institutions, but just embrace play, right? And the ability to pivot and kind of move freely throughout life. Not be so like strict and stringent about everything.
Yes. Whew. Speaking to those type A's out there.
Yep, recovering type A.
Let your hair down.
Yes,
Set it off if you need to.
yes.
Yeah. That's real. That is so real. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, do you have any guidance for ambitious young women who struggle to find the balance between resting and pushing themselves too hard?
Mm. That's a setup for disaster. That
Mhm.
you need to have balance in your life as much as possible, because when you're in these capitalistic situations, they're going to tell you to just grind, 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 grind. That's just the way to go. That is to their benefit, not for you. So we have to center, no, I need to have balance. I need to have boundaries with my time. My work day ends at a certain time. I'm not going to bring work home. I'm not going to be working on the weekends. I need to have my work life balance and what brings me joy, right? So there are things I need to do for a job or to make money, but what brings me joy, and how do I center my life around my joy and not just things I have to do all the time, because that is not sustainable. It's not, because you're always seeking external validation. That's dangerous, because if something happens out there and people are not validating you, then you're in trouble, right? But the
Mhm.
internal validation, that's when you say, what feeds my soul? What brings me joy? And how do I center my life around that? That's more liberate. That's more a liberating way of thinking and being.
Mhm. Marissa, I see you
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. I was also gonna say, like, realizing you're not a machine, right? As Trisha Hersey reminds us. We're not machines. We're socialized as machines in the society that we live in, but it's up to you to push back against that at every turn and remind yourself that you're human and you require rest, right? Care, all of these things that are viewed as luxuries in the society we grow up in, they're not luxuries. You actually need them to survive and for your life to be sustainable. And no one will give these things to you freely a lot. You have to demand it, again, in this society that we're socialized in. But you have the power to do that. If you tap into your power, nothing is off limits, right? Anything is possible. Also, like moving with the current, something I'm reminding myself instead of swimming against it has been pivotal. So, in times that I need to rest, kind of allowing myself to rest and not pushing
Mhm.
through to get something done because I'm just going to like wreck myself in the process. And then that's no one's going to benefit from that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, giving yourself time, space to rest, realize that you are human, taking your time with things, and realizing where this messaging comes from, that we do have to push ourselves to grind and be machines, right? A lot of this is rooted
Mhm.
in enslavement. And so constantly reminding ourselves about that and pushing back against oppression. Yeah, by treating ourselves as human and demanding other people do the same.
Yes. Yes. Whew. So internal validation and just yes. It sounds like a word that's coming in my mind is intuition, and how before that toxic job and even after, and there's been a couple, so each time I can see I'm interacting with my intuition at different levels, and throughout my healing journey I'm recognizing that the more I hold space for myself, the more that comes up, and more is coming up because my intuition is like, okay, you want to interact with me now. You want to know now, like you have the tools to handle what I'm about to share with you now, because I'll hold it. You want to keep
Yeah.
going on with what you got going on. So
Yes.
just intuition, right? Like how do I relearn how to connect with my intuition? Like how do I understand that that's important
Ooh,
if that
Yeah,
wasn't modeled or coached for me?
that's a good point. That's a good point. Danny, I need to apologize. I have a client, so I need to sign off. But
That's
Marissa is going to share all the beautiful things about the summit. And again, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. Thank you. I'm so happy that you're going to be able to come to get the scholarship. That's awesome. I love it.
yay.
I love it. So again, thank you so much, Danny. And I appreciate getting to meet you. And thank you so much for all of your support. And and you know, you'll see me at the summit again. We won't be able to see anybody who's coming to the summit because the privacy consideration, which Marissa's going to talk about. But everyone, I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm going to go do some healing work with some of my Black women clients. So I will see all of you later.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
Yeah. And you mentioned something. Can I just touch on that, right? Reconnecting with your intuition is so hard sometimes because we've been, again, programmed, socialized. Like I'll speak for myself all throughout my educational career, right? So most of my life into college, into work, to not connect to my intuition, right? In the periods that I like it sprung up and I said something because like my intuition is like, girl, this is not right. People didn't want to hear it. So then I suppressed it. And then that creates all sorts of other issues when you go against what your intuition is saying to you. So that's very real. It's hard. It can be challenging to reconnect with that inner voice, with spirit, when you've been taught that it's wrong this entire time.
Yes. And is that like where we start building that language of compassion with self and grace? Like, is that where those word things come in?
I think so. Yeah, tapping back into that, right? To your true essence, your true self, because your true self is not going to be criticizing you. We don't come here criticizing ourselves, like talking down to ourselves, having these internal voices. These are other people's voices that we've internalized throughout our lives. So by reconnecting with who you are, and a lot of it is reconnecting with who you were as a child, because we know who we are when we come here. So tapping back into that voice and silencing out those other voices that we've taken on throughout our lives out of necessity to survive a lot. But coming back into who you really are, I think is critical.
Yes. Ooh. And that's so beautiful because that's where the therapy comes in to be able to say, that's what that is. That's what that is. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And then you have your community and your tribe that aligns with you to say, oh no, you're awesome. What's that insecurity? Like you can share it with me. I'll validate you, but you're awesome.
Yes. Affirmations. Affirmations are like so key when you have been just mistreated so badly in all these environments throughout your life. It's like having someone like affirm back to you, no, this is actually who you are, right? And the beauty that you bring and the joy that you bring to the world, affirming that for you over and over, because we need those messages, those of us who have been harmed, to heal and reclaim ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, like our body needs that sensory of when we feel cared for and accepted. Like we literally need that.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, Marilyn, Osiyo, thank you for joining. Yay. Okay, so Marissa, I'd like to leave some space for you to be able to share some more details about the summit.
Yeah, so it is a 2-day summit, May 18th and 19th, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. There is a privacy, like if you have privacy concerns, none of the attendees will be shown on camera. So the only way to communicate will be by typing in the chat, and you can also change your name within the summit platform if privacy is a concern for you. But the first day, it's going to be focused on more like healing, right? Reclaiming your sleep, your dreams, your creativity. Alicia's going to lead her session on that, which I'm excited about. What else? Job detoxing from a toxic job. Stephanie Perry is going to kick it off, which I'm so excited. She has a new book called Job Detox. And then Kira is going to do it after that, her session, recovering from job burnout. Kira kind of uprooted her life and moved to Guadalajara, where I'm at now. And I had the chance to meet her and just talk about her journey. So she's going to share how she began to recover from burnout, which is very real for a lot of us in toxic jobs. Then Kamisha Jones is going to be talking about healing from the mental health impacts of toxic jobs, which I'm still doing. They're very real. And like I said before, like they linger long after you leave the physical environment, right? The mental health impacts stay. What else? Dr. Robin is going to be talking about healing from insomnia, reclaiming your sleep, Alicia, of course, reclaiming your creativity and your joy from a toxic job, your dream space. A lot of us don't even like have the ability or feel like we don't have the ability to dream new things anymore because we're just so like traumatized from these environments, right? That try to steal our dreams. So, yes. Day 2 is more of the practical exit planning tips. So, Anne Marie Archer will be sharing how to cash out from discrimination to pursue your dreams if you are being discriminated against. Things like severance packages, stuff like that. Um, who else? Oh, Patrice Lindo. Yeah, she's going to be talking about how to turn your side hustle into a career, which I'm excited about. Libria Jones will be presenting on how to land contract or remote work. Dr. Kimani and I will be leading a session on how to utilize your existing skill set to create a business. And then Dr. Roche will be ending it on day 2 with how to get your money right to leave a toxic job, like financial exit planning. So yeah, really excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just like, oh, if we could ever just have like an in-person one of these, I can see this being something that's like,
Oh my gosh, that would be
I'm gonna
amazing.
put that out there. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. That would be amazing.
Yay! Good to see you. So thank you so much for putting on this event with Dr. Kamani. Like this is just so aligned. And thank you so much for recruiting all of these beautiful people to share these very relevant and important topics. Um,
Oh,
would
thank
you
you.
mind sharing one more time about the sponsorships and then if there was any coaching that you wanted to share with everyone? Hmm.
Yeah, so there are 14 sponsored tickets available, and you can email Dr. Kamani, Dr. Kamani at liftingasweclimbconsulting.com if you are interested in receiving one of those tickets, if cost is an issue for you. And yeah, coaching, we are going to announce 6 weeks job liberation coaching, group coaching. Dr. Kamani and I will be facilitating after the summit, walking you through how to create an exit plan from a toxic job, start your own business, process your grief. A lot of us will experience like this deep feeling of loss, especially if we've invested so much time and energy into our careers, and then we have to pivot. Like you said, the grief that comes along with that is very real. So I'll be walking you through that in the group coaching. And yeah, how to reclaim your joy, how to reclaim your joy and realize that you have the ability to pivot and there are better things to come on the other side. Yeah. So that is
Yes,
job
yes, there is.
group coaching. Yes.
Yay! I'm so excited. Thank you, Marissa, for all of your time. I know this took a lot of time. You put your heart into this. Thank
Oh, so
you.
much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamani. I know she's out there getting that healing. Like, thank you, both of you.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Yes. It's been a labor of love. Hmm.
Yes, a labor of love, and I feel the love already. I know we all do. So
Yes.
I do have an affiliate link. Oh my goodness, my first one. This is my first interview, first affiliate link. Okay, okay. But yes, I will leave this here. I'll add this to the description afterwards, and you all have the website. So please get your ticket. You know, it's May 18th and 19th. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, let's see. Marilyn says, tell and share with others for upcoming virtual summit event. Yes, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell anyone you love, tell people on the street, tell anyone. Not me showing up when it's over me. Okay, well, we will be ending this interview. Thank you again, Marissa, for your time. And I will be looking forward to May 18th and 19th.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.